But before we talk about the game, what about, and I can't remember this happening before, the stadium, the singer at the start, the anthem singer, singing Fields of Athenry after the anthems for the whole stadium, and then sort of having a bit of a sing-along. Has that happened before? It's the first time I've noticed it, that's for sure. And I'm not sure what I think about it. It feels like, I mean, I love a good sing-along, but like the Irish crowd will sing that anyway. You don't need somebody urging you on to get the Fields of Athenry going. And sometimes it feels a little bit forced if you have that from the stadium, from the anthem singer. I don't know. That's what I think. Maybe if you've got an opinion on that, stick it in the comments and let me know. But yeah, Fields of Athenry, after the anthems, it was like the players were waiting around. I mean, obviously it's on an official clock or whatever, and the referee knows what time it's supposed to kick off. But the players are all sort of waiting around on the field, waiting for the Fields of Athenry to finish being sung, which seemed a bit strange to me. Overall, though, cracking game. I mean, I was yelping, biting nails, doing all kinds of things. There's a lot to talk about in this game, and there's no way I'm going to get through everything in this video. So there'll be a proper full match review coming to you tomorrow quite early. And I'm going to have Dave Slemon with me again, who did the match preview with me. And we're going to go through our predictions, the things that we thought might happen and whether they have happened or not, and all that kind of stuff. And we'll go into all the talking points there. But I've got to say, England started really well in this game. I thought they looked lively. I thought they looked pretty accurate with the stuff they did. They looked fast as well. England looked fast today during lots of phases of play, both in defence and attack. And I like that. I've spent so many years of my life watching England look stodgy, and that definitely couldn't be accused of them today. So there was a Smith break really early from a kick return, which is what he's one of the best in the world at doing that. Sam Prendergast early showed real poise by chipping out of his 22 for over the defence with a kick which was almost regathered. But the touch on that chip was so delicate. It was almost like he stroked it over the top of the defence. It was a beautiful kick. Mac Hansen injured early, but only briefly, actually. He went off for blood. I couldn't see any blood, but he came back on pretty soon afterwards. But by then, England had scored. A big carry from Ollie Lawrence and a really good kick from Henry Slade, just reading the situation perfectly, with Keenan coming in and closing the space on the outside. Murley had the run, and he just got that ball in behind Keenan perfectly. There was a slight bit of fortune in it because it was within Keenan's reach, but just as it got to Keenan, it just did like a flat bounce and went under his foot, which is a slight bit of fortune, but it was earned because the play was excellent. So try on debut for Caden Murley, 7-0. But then what's been a scourge for England for a little while now is receiving kickoffs, and especially the ones straight after points. And Ben Earl dropped this one. And England up to that point have been not dominating, but in charge of most things. They're in charge of field position. They're in charge of most of the physicality. And that gave Ireland a toehold in the game. And my God, they took it. Just attack after attack after attack. And there was a really amazing thing where Henshaw put a kick that was almost exactly the same as Henry Slade's one through for Lowe. It didn't quite come off, that one. I think Lowe threw it. There was the one where Lowe wanged it back inside on a penalty advantage. But it was bizarre that it was almost identical and on the same left-hand side of the field as well. Now, what do we think about the Kelleher disallowed try? It looked strange in real time, like the ball just came out and then nobody reacted. It's one of those where you think, I immediately thought something must have happened there. I didn't know what it was, but it just looked strange. And then obviously I saw Itoje talking to the referee, and it was pretty obvious on the TMO then that Ty Burn was holding Itoje into that ruck, which he's not allowed to do, especially seeing as it was off his feet. Would Itoje have made that tackle? I don't know, but he wasn't given the opportunity to, and that's still a penalty, and that means that the try is not allowed. So I think it was the right call, but frustratingly for Ireland, Kelleher might have scored anyway, even if Byrne hadn't have done that. Who knows? Hansen came back on soon after that. And Mitchell scored a try, which was disallowed as well. And this was one where Itoje knocked the ball on in a tackle on the tight end, whose name is escaping me at the moment, Finlay Bealham. Now, actually, on the replays, I'd love to see a different angle, because the replay I saw, I wasn't convinced that he knocked it on. It looked more to me that he hit the arms. I'm not, like, I don't think it makes any difference overall. It's just an interesting thing. I wasn't convinced. And then shortly after that, there was a couple of lovely kicks, both by the wingers on the same side of the pitch. James Lowe caught the ball, dropped it on his toe and grubbed it down the touchline. And almost immediately afterwards, Freeman did the same after Bundy Aki had done a brilliant tap tackle on him. So there's real good skills by these wingers. You're seeing it a lot in the game now. It must be something that they train over and over and over. It'll be their little extras that they do at the end of each game, at the end of each training session, rather. That catch under pressure, drop it on the toe and get it grubbered along the line. So this is about 20 minutes in now. And I've got to say, this game was breathless. I thought England was swarming in defence. They did have a lot of line speed. They did put Ireland under a lot of pressure, but not at all expenses. So there was talk about England softening their defence, and they definitely did it. They definitely looked that when they were outnumbered, that they didn't push up and overcommit, and they used the touchline for their friend. And it just made it a lot harder for Ireland to break England down, particularly through the first sort of half an hour for sure. We got a comment in here. Let's have a look. Big G, how'd that end up a 5-point game at the end? Well, England scored 2 late tries, to give you the obvious answer, which I think, Ireland were the better side and deserved the win. But I think, as I said, almost right at the start of this, I think England going away with nothing from that game would feel a little bit harsh. So they had to work hard for it, and they got a couple of little breaks at the end, but they missed a few chances through the middle as well. So, yeah, good win for Ireland. Okay. Also at this point, I thought England would win in the kicking battle. Just length of kick was going well. They were finding grass. That would switch around later in the game. Ireland, with their up and unders, in particular to Murley's wing, were finding grass, and that is always a problem. There was a little moment when Prendergast is looking very much like Johnny Sexton with that classic Leinster wraparound play, and honestly, England were in all kinds of trouble after they executed that perfectly. The ball got past to Bundy Aki, or towards him anyway, and he knew there was loads of space on the outside. He just could not get the ball in and through his hands. That knock-on error, when England were really struggling, saved them. But England's defence was absolutely frantic. Marcus Smith had been yellow carded at this point as well, because England were given a lot of penalties away at the breakdown and offside and various other things under intense Irish pressure, just wave on wave on wave. But still really happy with England's defence. They were putting Ireland under pressure at times. They were getting up and making hits and catching them behind the gain line. They were being disciplined in terms of not overcommitting when they were outnumbered. So at this point, I thought it was a fantastic game, and it really could have gone any way. Until James Lowe absolutely dominated Mitchell on the left-hand side. I mean, Mitch is going to look at that again and just go, man, I was just too high. But, going for Lowe's legs isn't the easiest thing in the world either. He obviously very powerful, and it's a difficult thing. Mitchell's, he's not the biggest tackler in the world, and he found himself on the edge a lot today. Obviously, that was a tactic for England, that he was going to defend on the edge, and Lowe absolutely nailed that inside to Gibson Park, who, went round steward like he wasn't there, frankly, and that made it 5-7. But shortly after that, England nailed some really sort of fast and fluid attack. There were times in this game when England attacked well, and I really like the way when they played this fast and fluid style, they played without a lot of structure, and they just played what was in front of them, and that's exciting for me. So that's good. I'm happy to see that. And that led to the Ben Earl break and a penalty and 5-10, and that was half time. So I would say England, I think it was very tight in the first half. And before that late penalty, it was just the width of a post that Prendergast hit on the conversion that was separating the teams. And that was not out of, that seemed quite reasonable to me. I'll say Ireland for most of the half lacked a bit of territory, but when they did have territory in possession, they looked pretty dangerous. I mean, England's defence, as I said several times now, was frantic, but they were kind of holding on. They were on the point of breaking without breaking, apart from the one try. All right, then, half time. We've got a few more comments in here. Big G, Lowe showed his strength on the wing. Absolutely. Just spoken about that. He was outstanding in terms of his ball carry, actually in lots of things. I thought he was also really outstanding in his aerial work, because listeners to the pod regularly will know I really rate Tommy Freeman in that area. And I think the competition between him and Lowe was probably pretty even. We don't know the stats, obviously, but it seemed pretty even to me. Lowe certainly held his head up there for sure. Ireland grew into, this is from PP Conroy, Ireland grew into it as the game progressed, always looked comfortable after 60 minutes. I think England can grow from here. Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of that. Yeah, I think England started well, but Ireland slowly just got their grip on, started strangling, played with more accuracy, played on top of England a little bit, and just got stronger and stronger as the game went on. Delight for England to get those 2 scores at the end, obviously. That gives them something going into next week, which is very important. Yeah, Big G again. England looked good on attack and defence. Ireland struggled to break them down. Yeah, I'd agree. Until later on, I think there was, well, we'll talk about later on in a minute, but yeah, there's some good comments there. Into the third quarter, and it was here where it was this suffocating, this pressure, the Ireland's excellent kick game as well, because it as I said earlier, I thought England were winning the kick game early in the game, but Ireland definitely won it as the game went on, and they found space on Murley's wing in particular, although this kick was a little bit of a nothing kick, and he just misread it, whether it was wind or whatever, and he ended up knocking it back into his own goal area and then having to run back out with it, which is, just a nightmare. And I think that knocked his confidence, because he looked a little bit all over the place after that. Huge Ireland pressure at this time. I mean, it was a massive goal line stand from England. And who knows how they managed to keep them out. There was a time when it looked like the ball was over the line in an England ruck, but it wasn't on the ground, and the referee was doing a massive job of herding Irishmen back, saying, no, it's not over the line. It is still in the field of play. And, you look on the replay and it looked to me like that was, maybe questionable. So the Irish players going in there, I think Van der Fleer was one, maybe Doris was another, absolutely right to go and challenge that, and also right to listen to the referee and do what he said. So real good discipline there from the Irish players in a moment where you get really excited, because you think, all I've got to do is put my hand on that for a try. So excellent discipline. Shortly after that, Lawrence got a ball off a line out deep in England's territory and absolutely smashed into Prendergast. Fair play to him, brave as heck. He looked a little bit stunned when he got up, but then Lawrence whacked Ringrose as well, who was juggling a ball into him. Lawrence did some really good things today, I think, but he was also a little bit sloppy at times, like making tackles and then just hanging around the ruck area a bit too long. He got penalised for that in the first half. And there was a couple of times when he probably could have been penalised as well. So some really good stuff from Ollie Lawrence. His physicality, definitely great. And there's a really good thing that he did towards the end as well for one of the England tries. Let me know in the comments, guys. What are you drinking? I'm on the Lashko today. Very lovely drop. And where you're from, where you're watching from. Kevin Callahan, Irish fan here. Good to have you, Kevin. Okay, and we're getting towards, where are we up to now? Yeah, so huge Ireland pressure. Huge. And it's the type of stuff when you're in a game like this, you feel like you can't breathe. And it's so hard to exit. It's so hard to get out of your half. And then Dan Sheehan comes on. So your life suddenly gets a lot harder anyway. and he made a great impact. I mean, no shock there. He's the best hooker in the world. So he's clearly fit as a fiddle now after all that time off, all that rehab. They've clearly taken care of him. And yeah, amazing impact. And that led to Bundy Aki. Actually, it was a sheen pass to Aki over the top. So impact, but football inability as well. Absolutely insane. And Aki went through, I think it was Marcus Smith, wasn't it, that he went through initially. You just saw him like bite down on his gum shield and just go for it. And yeah, smashed Smith out of the way, got in the corner, past Freeman as well. And that was 10-10. It was properly game on at this now. And it's still, even though Ireland, it was been all Ireland really for sort of like all of the second half for sure. And a lot of the end of the second period of the first half. But games come in ebbs and flows. So although it had been all Ireland for a little while, I was still confident that at 10-all, if England can get some possession, if they can get some territory, they've shown enough on attack that I figured we could get some scores. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, as far as I'm concerned, obviously, being an England fan, because we gave away some dull penalties. There was a kick through and Slade pushed over Hansen. Like, dumb penalties kill teams, and that was a real bad one, I thought. I mean, he just kind of, it was instinctive a little bit. He just ran into the back of him, but it is a penalty, and there's no question. Then there was a real tight penalty, and I mean, this was in the line-out when Itoje got done for pushing, which would have been a turnover line-out for England. We got the ball. I think Genge caught it at the back. Now, there's no question, I don't think, Itoje's hand did touch the Irish player. But, I mean, that is one of the softest penalties I think I've ever seen in a game, to be fair. Who knows? I mean, it doesn't take a lot to push somebody off balance when they're in the air. But, I mean, and I think it was Conan. Normally players nowadays sort of shout and scream when that kind of thing happens. And there was no reaction from Conan whatsoever. And that being a penalty on top of the Slade one just before made it really, that felt like a big moment in the game. Up at about 60 minutes now. And most importantly, Prendergast found his kicking boots for a fairly lengthy penalty there for 13-10. That would be great for his confidence. Get him into the game. Get some points on the board from his boot after missing a couple of narrow conversions. And yeah, but it's still game on, right? It's still game on. It's still 13-10 with 20 minutes to go. Some more comments here. PP Conroy, Phil from early on his debut. I agree. Like first half, getting the try. Like he did some really good things in the first half as well, but I think it was that one that he knocked back behind his own line. His confidence went a little bit, and he did look a bit all at sea towards the end for that last 20 minutes. What do we got here? Kevin Callahan says, Steve needed to stop playing 7-7-7, mate. Play your own game. Total respect for your mate. Smith is a class act. Stop playing 7-7-7. I mean, I think, actually, this is something I didn't mention at the end of the first half. England's line-out was, I think, if I remember rightly, they had 6 line-outs in the first half. They won 2 with the quality of possession that's needed. They won 2 were very scrappy, basically barely won it, and I think 2 turnovers as well. So not great line-out stats, but I think the damage they did at the breakdown, those 3 sevens, maybe balance that out. I mean, they'll look at this. They'll statistically analyze it much better than just me or you sort of like looking at it as a punter, basically. They'll figure out whether it was a net gain or a net loss, but the line-out was definitely down. I mean, it's exactly as predicted, right? The line-out was a little bit worse, but probably breakdown tackling as well was a little bit better. And people said maybe we didn't have the carriers in that back row, but all 3 of those back rowers can carry pretty heavily. They're all pretty decent carriers. So, yeah, not massive, not heavy, but they can all carry the ball. Okay, so 20 minutes to go here now. And England get a good position. I think it was a line out around about the 22. And they won the ball. They got good quality possession from this line out as well. I think it was either off the top or a little shift drive, pop out the back. Marcus Smith passed to Tom Curry, who just dropped it cold. he looked like he wasn't really committed to his line. I think he looked like he knew Doris was coming hunting for him. Excuse me. And he was going to do the catch and then sort of spin out and try and move off. But he didn't take the ball with him. That was a massive moment for England. Still 13-10, still massively in the game, even though they've absorbed a lot of pressure. Their first real good attacking moment or attacking platform to go from for quite some time. And a player of Tom Curry's ability just drops it cold. It's so frustrating for a team when that kind of thing happens. Hilariously, like Ireland did exactly the same straight afterwards, with Doris dropping one cold off a line-out move as well. So England got the ball back. Also at this sort of time, Will Stewart had been off the pitch twice for HIAs, then returned for his third stint in the game. Now, I've never heard of that before, that somebody's come back on past 2 HIAs in a game. Maybe it's happened, but I've never seen it. Let's have that in the comments down below if you've seen that before. Joe Hayes was on the pitch 3 times as well. I wonder if they get 3 caps each for that. That'd be cheeky if they did. Some more questions here in the comments about subs. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to know, isn't it? I think England wanted to they wanted to change things up. They wanted to freshen stuff. They had a huge amount of dynamism on the bench to come on, and Cunningham South in particular in the back row, along with Willis. So yeah, I mean, I think some of those guys were playing well, but there's a bench there to use, and if you're losing as well, I didn't really have any problem with any of the subs. I don't think today. I think they all kind of made sense. And then actually, this was the moment. This was the moment of the game for me, and it's the Ty Burn try. This is classic Ireland. They've pulled out a play here. They did it in the summer against South Africa, where they pulled out a play that I don't believe, and this is really accurate. I'm talking about exactly what's happened here. I don't believe I'd ever seen that play done before in international rugby, the one where Conor Murray scored from the Kelleher break. And I think they've done something similar, but not the same here. And it's worked so perfectly. They've hidden James Lowe behind. I'm not sure who the forward carrier was, but they've done it basically. It's an old centre split. So Gibson Park's come back left after a midfield ruck from a line out back towards the way they just came. And the forward players run away from him. James Lowe was hidden from behind him. It's come through, hit that line dead straight. I've gone clean through, and for the love of God, I thought he was going to butcher it. I really thought he was going to butcher it. He looked left where his support was and ignored it, turned right, stepped a couple of times, slowed down, so he was almost stopping before eventually throwing the pass left to Ty Burn, who canted in. I mean, he's got a ton of pace. He was never going to get caught. But that was the moment of the match for me, and I'm going to make a nice little short video that hopefully will go as viral as that last one that I talked about did. Quality play from Ireland. The timing of it is so perfect. It's so funny how they find so consistently new ways to do things. And just that little play, just picking on that first England defender, and it's not important who it was, because I think anybody would have gone for that. So quality play from Ireland. That's 2010. And for me, that moment just earned them the game. Like, all that pressure and stuff, but England still could have won after that. But that moment of quality, I think, was the real key factor that got them the game. Shortly after that, poor Caden Murley was caught again, which led to a Tom Curry turnover, actually. Sorry, that was it. So Murley got caught, which sort of brought more pressure on England, but Tom Curry won the turnover to get us out of there. But then it was, after soaking up all that pressure that England did, the defence was always going to start just creaking a little bit, and Jack Conan went flying through a hole. James Lowe with a whole load of power again on the outside, which led to Sheehan triumphantly smashing the ball down. No, sorry, this was the Sheehan pass. This was the quality Sheehan pass that led to his own try. Absolutely thumping the ball down over the line. What a return to international rugby for him. Fair play, quality player. And that's 27-10. I've got to say, at that point, it felt like 27-10 was a big score compared to how the game had gone, compared to how competitive England had been. So I was delighted that England did come back and score 2 tries at the end. The Tom Curry try was created by a bit of, honestly, genius footwork from Ollie Lawrence to almost stop in front of Cian Healy, bounce to the outside and get an offload away for Murley to put Curry in. That was quality play. 27-15. And it looked like England might not get another chance, but I think they got a couple of penalties or a penalty somewhere around about halfway line, which gave them a position. And Freeman eventually found a gap to get through under the sticks for 27-22. I think somebody said, how did that end up being a 5-point game in the comments? But just remember, it was into the sort of like the last 20 minutes that Ireland really pulled away. It was very tight up until then. So they scored a couple of quick tries and England scored a couple of quick tries. It's fairly even, but I think obviously the right team won. Ireland were the better side. England, I think, have got a lot to go on there. I'm proud of that England performance. I'm excited by what they did, both on attack and defence. A couple of little tweaks here, maybe a couple of positional changes or, freshen things up with a different player or two next week. And I think they can be confident going to Twickenham, the Alliance, that they can compete against France. And that's what you want. It's international rugby. They're always going to be very tough games. They want to be in them towards the end. And actually, they weren't really in this one. They never had a chance to win in the last 5 minutes. But it was a good performance by England. But Ireland just suffocated them through the end. A few more comments here. Sheehan is class. Agreed. Best hooker in the world as far as I'm concerned. Although, actually, I know Malvaka pushes in pretty close. It's a tough one. Now I think I would go Sheehan, but my God, I love Malvaka too. What was a winger? Mark Loveday. Murley was a bag of nerves. Yeah, he was. Only with the last 20 minutes, I'd say. I think he was fine until he had that ball that he knocked back behind the line. Up until then, he was okay, but he lost his way towards the end. Bless him. And it could have been such a special feeling as well to get a try on debut if he sort of held his nerve and maybe England have found a little bit more to get the win. Keep the comments coming. Let me know, who else did you think played well? I thought Prendergast had a really assured game for Ireland. I thought he controlled things. He looks classy. His timing of the pass, his composure, never ruffled. I think England tried to get to him a couple of times and he didn't ever look ruffled at all. I think the scrum was quite an even contest. I think Beelum did a really good job, and I've spoken about his scrummaging before. He's just so low, and he kicked his back so flat that it's very difficult for loose heads to get any purchase on him. And Genge got penalised in the first half because his bum went up and his nose went down in the end. And it's very tough for loose heads against props that scrummage that low. For England, I thought the second rows both showed up pretty well, pretty combative, fighting for everything. I think the 3-7s in the back row, I thought that was okay. Yeah, I think we got some benefit from that. Thought Mitchell was lively. Smith, again, I think he's really, the last 12 months, he's gone up a level, just in his physicality, in terms of his decision-making. I thought there was some real good game management in the early stages. England didn't overplay their hand. They played fast and quick and saw what they could get. And if they couldn't get something, then they get behind. And I think Smith was quite key in that. Yeah, I mean, lots to work on, but lots to be proud of as well. PP Conroy. Cian Healy is 37. No magic to step him. Well, I don't know. It was in a phone box, to be honest. It was such a small amount of space that it was quality. It was a quality bit of play, whatever you say, no matter who the opponent was. But it was good that England got something out of that towards the end, because I think they did deserve it overall for the industry, if nothing else. Right, guys, we're going to call this one close. There'll be full match reports tomorrow. I'm going to have Dave Slemon with me to talk about the England-Ireland game. I'm still looking for somebody Scottish to talk about the Scottish game, or maybe an Italian to go through that one. I'll be sending out some emails tonight to hopefully get a guest on. Otherwise, I'll be doing it on my own. And we're also, and this is not to raise ire in any way, it's just for interest, We're going to be doing a referees review as well. So we're going to be talking about some of the decisions. And these aren't going to be the things that, oh, we should have done that kind of decisions. It's going to be the ones that are interesting in terms of law. So there's a few over this weekend that we've seen so far. And we'll be going through those in terms of like the law, what the referee might have been looking at, what the referee might have been thinking when he was going through these processes. And again, it's there for education. It's not there to slam referees. It's there to hopefully just make the game a little bit better. So that's why we're doing those ones. But thank you all for watching. Much appreciated. I'm going to go and get myself some food now and maybe a couple more lash goes and have myself a good night. So take it easy and don't forget to get out and play.